Oh, let me speak on this. But before I get into my frustration, my irritation, we're going to speak on an update with Patrick Day. As of today, he is still in a medically induced coma. Every report does mention that he is in critical condition, which is not good. And I did see one report where it said he could not breathe on his own, that they had to have a breathing tube down his throat, which is very bad because that could indicate that he's in a vegetated state, which means his brain's pretty much dead. He's dead in a sense. I'm hoping that's not the case. I'm hoping that, he had a seizure, and off the seizure, that's why they had to put the tube down his throat, but he is breathing on his own. That's what I'm really hoping and praying for. They've been very limited with the actual medical information they've given out on this, and I really hope he's doing okay. Charles Conwell wrote a letter stating how he wished this never happened. He was sorry. He sent it to the family of Patrick Day, and he even was contemplating quitting boxing. Now, this has happened in the past. In the early 2000s, for the life of me, I'm sorry, y'all, I should have done some research. Cannot remember the fighters' names, but there was a fighter who was very good. He ended up killing a man who had a wife and child, and he did the same thing. He felt really bad. He quit boxing. I think it was for like 6 months or a year, then started boxing again. And in his very next fight, he lost. But while he was fighting, you could see every punch he was throwing, it just had zero steam on it. It was like he was scared to hurt the other fighter. And after he lost that fight, I believe he quit boxing permanently because he just didn't have that fire anymore. And to Conwell, I want to say, everybody can talk about wanting to kill somebody. Like Deontay Wilder says, he wants a body on his record. I stated when that came out that when I'm in the boxing ring, in my mind, I'm trying to kill my opponent because that's how I feel they are coming to me. And that mentality is what I would have in the ring if I was to start fighting again. I want to kill this fighter as quickly as I can before they kill me, but that's only in the heat of the moment. I don't actually want to kill that person. Any sane person doesn't actually want to kill somebody. Or I shouldn't say kill, I should say murder. But the reason why I made that statement in the past was because that's the mentality you need to have to win. You have to take this for real. Boxing is not a game. People die all the time. People get brain injuries all the time. McClellan's a really good example of that. And, you have to have that mindset. But nobody actually wants to hurt. I hope nobody actually wants to hurt another fighter in real life for no reason. Because at the end of the day, how I view boxing is you against another man, and you should have been trying your hardest. You're training to be the best you can be. Now you want to see how good you are. That's how I look at it. To want to know when I am at my best, I am better than anybody else at their best. But that's where it stops. I would never wish ill will on another fighter. I would never want to actually hurt another fighter permanently or kill another fighter. And I know Conwell is going through a lot of demons right now because that's not what he wanted. He feels bad for it. And, unfortunately, this is one of the evil byproducts that can happen in this sport when you have two people physically coming at each other. And to me, deaths are worse in boxing than they are in MMA because in MMA, Patrick Day would not have taken this much damage to last as long as he did into the 10th round. The boxing gloves are a lot more padded. And because of that, punches that should have knocked you out don't. So your brain rattles a lot more than it would normally do if you were bare knuckle or smaller gloves, or when you knock somebody down and they're stunned, you can get on top of them and finish them where the referee will stop it. So the damage that you take in MMA is actually a lot less than what you do in boxing. And I hope Charles Conwell can get over this as well. It's not his fault. It's a physical confrontation, but at the end of the day, it's not your fault, Conwell. If my little channel ever reaches your ears, it's not your fault. It happens. It's a horrible thing to happen, but you can't blame yourself, because the same thing could have happened to you in this fight or any other fight that you've been in, or it could happen in the future to you. So if this happens again to where you do this to another fighter, it's still not your fault. This is what both people going in know can happen in a worst case scenario. Now, off of that, again, I want to restate, please say your prayers for Patrick Day. Please say your prayers for him. I'm going to keep trying to update. I'm going to keep this fresh as long as, I need to. I don't care if it's 6 months from now, he's still in a coma. I feel like smaller fighters, and I don't mean smaller because this dude did win a belt and he was a Golden Gloves New York champion. By smaller fighter, I mean mainstream media known. Don't get enough coverage. And I'm going to start covering more boxers that get injured as I see it. There's a lot of boxing matches, so it's impossible to cover everything. But this was on the Zone. This was being streamed free on YouTube. Everybody in the world could see this. CNN, ESPN, the Daily Mail in the UK. All types of media outlets are actually reporting on this, so it's pretty hard to miss. Which brings me up to the hypocrisy of the LDBC. And I want to say this. I was already on the fence with the LDBC with their race-baiting narratives. But to this, I want to say they're a bunch of fucking hypocrites, and fuck every single one of them, because all they do is clickbait. At this point, it's clear as day. How the fuck can media outlets who don't even talk about boxing on a regular, like CNN, be covering this, and not one person, not Dante's Boxing Nation, not Boxing Eagle, not 78 Sports, not Barbershop Conversation, to the smaller ones, Fanon, the idiot little midget who didn't know a lot about boxing, Best Fight the Best. None of them, and etc. None of these people have spoke on this man. Not one. And they're supposed to be the pro-black channels. And there's nothing wrong with being pro-your people. But there is something wrong with pretending to be pro-your people just when it fits the narrative. Just when you can see, oh, I can race bait this narrative, so now I'm going to be pro my people. I'm going to feed off of this. But when one of your people actually get hurt, you don't even fucking mention them? It don't make no sense. I would have thought the LDBC, and I've been giving it days, searching their channels for days to see if any of these people will at least mention his name. And they haven't. Not one. Hypocrites. Hypocrites. This right here should show every person out there, even the people who have been supporting them, how much full of shit they are. They don't care. They don't care about their own. They care about clickbaiting and getting people who already have a racist narrative in their mind to get their money. And they've proven it by this, because this should have been reported. And it irritates me as a past fighter that when fighters do get hurt, because they're not Errol Spence, who they were talking about, because they're not a big name, they don't give a fuck about them because it might not give them a click. This ain't about getting clicks. This ain't about getting support. This ain't about getting subscribers. This is about, if you love the sport, you should care about the fighters that make the sport great. And even a journeyman or a guy who is there just to lose to a prospect is still making the sport great. Everybody feeds off of everybody, no matter how good or how bad they are. It's all intertwined. But to just blatantly ignore this, not state anything about it, is ridiculous. And what I do want to close is with this. Who I have seen reported is IFL TV. They were talking to Eddie Hearn, wanted to get a status update. I like that. There was a boxing channel I've never heard of called The Concrete Jungle. spoke on it. Probably has the most views on it. I reached out to a couple of people, and only one of them, after I sent a message, actually responded to it. And for that, I thank them and give them a lot of respect. And the reason why I was reaching out to other channels is I only have 500 and something subs. These channels have 17,000 plus, 30,000 plus, 40,000 plus. So at least if they would have mentioned this, it could have got this man's name seen. They didn't have to say that I said anything or I brought up to their attention. All I asked was just say something about this dude. And only one person I messaged actually said anything. And that was Showbiz the adult. That's it. That's the only one. Out of all the people I messaged, out of all the channels I messaged, he was the only one who actually made a video about this man. And I want to thank him for that. That truly, and it's not needed. I'm not nobody for anybody to need their respect, but that truly made that channel, that person, that individual earn my respect. Because maybe he didn't see it. Hell, maybe he didn't even see what I wrote. But if he did, and if he did make a video about Patrick Day after reading it, I really want to thank him for that, because like I said, the bigger boxing channels can let a lot more people see this than I can. And this ain't about my channel growing. This is about somebody who's fighting for their life. So in closing, Patrick Day, I really do hope you recover. I really am praying for you. I hope your family's all right. I hope your friends are all right. And I'm also praying for Charles Cardwell as well, because I know he's going through a lot of demons right now and a lot of doubts. Thank y'all for watching. And please, if you are a part of the bigger boxing channels that I've mentioned, or ones that I didn't mention, if they have not covered this, say something. The more people praying for this man, the more likely he is to come out of this life-threatening situation. Thank y'all again for watching and listening.